104.7 The K, Mike the Intern in the studio this morning with a man from the UK. His name is Dan Hudson, and he does a bunch of other stuff. But the reason he's on the show today was because he reached out to me and said he's got this thing going on. It's a petition, and they're trying to get the Birmingham airport changed to the Ozzy Osbourne International, which I think is an awesome thing. And anything I can do to help the legacy of Ozzy continue on. I'm a massive Ozzy and Black Sabbath fan. So first of all, Dan, thank you so much for being a guest on the show today, man.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me.
Why in the world did you decide to do this?
I just, I had the idea in the back of my head for a while, actually, because from traveling a lot and from actually going to places like America, where everyone seems to be quite proud of like the musical scenes that you guys have over there. So, for example, if I go to Nashville, or if I go to New York, or if I go to LA or Memphis, all these places that have worldwide known sort of musical scenes that have come from those places. You guys shout about it, right? But we don't do that in Birmingham, England, and that's always been really weird, given that we've got this heritage of Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest.
ELO is from Birmingham too. That's always been the thing about Birmingham that cracks me up, is you got one of the continuation of the Beatles and one of the heaviest bands ever made in the same town, but they were all friends with each other, which I think it's so cool. I think part of it is Radiohead's one of my favorite bands in the world, if not my favorite band. And I remember years ago when they were getting big, Tom did an interview and he was talking about when you come to the United States, the idea of fame is completely looked at differently than it is in the UK. In the UK, from the sense that everyone's real suspect of people that are famous, and no one wants to make a big deal about that stuff because in essence it's rude, right? And at least that's the viewpoint of that I see from here, where in America we're like, let's scream about it and be as loud and childish about it as possible. Now, at one hand, I get we're from the perspective of stop tooting your own horn there, but also at a certain point, in regards to what you're saying, you got to be proud of the heritage you have. And I don't think Liverpool has ever said, no, we don't want to ever talk about the Beatles being from here. So in that regard, Birmingham should be doing the same thing, because their culture and the music that's come out there is just as rich.
Exactly. I mean, I haven't really considered it from that perspective up until now, but that's certainly, I mean, you're right, really. Yeah.
It's a cultural thing. It really is.
Yeah. But I think there's also an added element of embarrassment about rock and heavy metal. That
also too. Yeah, it's not proper. It's, we got this. Yeah, I get it. But at the same time, they've stood the test of time when they're talking about almost being a band for almost 60 years.
Yeah, I mean,
here.
Exactly. I mean, what else would you want them to feasibly do to warrant, this level of, and like in Birmingham, it's taken a little while, but I do think we're slowly getting there with acknowledging the history of heavy metal, because there are some things that are popping up. So there's this Black Sabbath bridge that we've got now, and there's a mural, and the museum's been doing like a big Ozzy Osbourne exhibit that they've had to extend because it's so popular. So like things are changing, but I think it's not really enough yet. And like you say, like if Liverpool can do it for John Lennon, then there's absolutely no reason why the inventors of an entire global music genre can't also have an airport.
Yeah, it makes sense. And so even though we're not based in the UK, if someone is listening to this or watching this interview and they want to help make this change, they can actually get involved and do that, right?
Yes. So OzzyAirport.com is where you can go. There's a couple of things you can do there. You can sign it, obviously. And then when you sign, it will say, do you want to chip in? And a load of people have been giving like a couple of quid, as we say in the UK, or a couple of bucks, as you say, which basically helps it. It goes back. I didn't see any of that personally. It just goes back into the system. So it pays for more advertising, and it just goes round and round in a circle, if that makes sense. And I've got over 8. I mean, I haven't got it, like I say, but in that account, there's like £8,000, which people have donated from around the world, which is unbelievable. And it just helps spread the word and go round and round and round, because it's continuing to go up. So yeah, OzzyAirport.com is the place to go.
So if you listen to me and my show and you want to do something to help me out, help them change the name of this airport so that one day I can fly into Birmingham and see where all this was made and land in the Ozzy International Airport in Birmingham, which definitely should be the way it goes. I completely think They need to change that. And again, OzzyAirport.com. Dan, thank you so much for doing what you're doing to help continue the legacy of the Prince of Darkness, Black Sabbath, and of course your wonderful city. I mean, again, like I said, I'm very knowledgeable about the incredible music that came out of that city, and it's just as awesome as any of the cities in America that you mentioned by far.
Have you been here?
No. Well, one day I will. I've been to, I have a lot of buddies. I've had some friends in the UK. I actually met at a bar last week, a couple of guys that were doing Route 66 from Chicago to LA. And they were both from, I want to say they were outside of London. And we talked at length about how I need to get my butt over there as soon as possible. So one of these days I might come stay with you and then I can afford it.
Yeah, and when I'm actually just around the corner from the airport, funnily enough. So yeah, when they rename it, come over, whatever time.
I'll call you. You pick me up, and I'll just be your guest for a week. Sounds good.
Let's do it. I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that, Dan. Again, OzzyAirport.com. Get that airport changed. Dan, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.